Hi everyone, welcome back to TSAP Travels podcast, which is called Madagascar Voices. I'm Chloe.
I'm Bryony.
And I'm Freya.
And today we're just going to do another Q&A about our experiences in Madagascar and one of the projects that we're focusing on at the moment. Who has the questions?
Moi. I think the first one that would actually be really good to start with was why do we all choose to come to Madagascar or come back in our cases?
You go first, I would say.
Okay.
Long timer.
So I came to Madagascar 5 years ago in 2019 as an English teaching volunteer. I was meant to be here for 5 weeks and I ended up staying for 3 months. I really enjoyed it. Well, kind of a lie, I really didn't like the first 3 weeks. It was really hot and I didn't like any of the food. But then I started eating the local food and experimenting with different dishes and stuff. And yeah, I basically just didn't get on my flight home. That was at the end of my initial trip. Just watched it leave without me and I stayed until the end of my visa. Loved it here, really loved the Malagasy people and they really inspired me, and it actually changed that trip changed the whole trajectory of my career, because then I came back in 2022 and started TSAP Travel, which is how you two made it to Madagascar.
Yeah.
Exciting.
How did you make it here, Brian? What happened?
So my mum works at the university that Chloe went to and graduated from. And then when you made the documentary about Madagascar, she asked if I wanted to come along and watch it with her because she'd been informed about it through work. So I was like, why not? That sounds quite cool. It's a film about Madagascar, might as well. Went there Sorry, the dog just ran past with a sock in its mouth. So
Watch the documentary.
Watched the documentary. Completely fell in love with it. Immediately. I think that was 2 years ago.
A year, just over a year and a half. Yeah, a while ago.
And I immediately was just I need to do that. That looks absolutely amazing. You also mentioned then that you were going to do an animal welfare project. I was currently studying animal management at the time, so I decided why not, and I'll be 18 by the time the project launches. So I got in contact with Chloe and now I'm here.
Yeah. 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
Over 3 weeks in.
I know, almost a month. Going strong.
Nice.
Freya, your turn.
I coincidentally was sat in the same room as Brian watching the documentary, but we didn't know each other then. I also wasn't really meant to be there, so I hadn't heard about it. I hadn't heard about the documentary at all.
Great publication for me. Good publicity.
Amazing.
It was really good.
But my course mate, she'd heard of it and she was really interested, and so she was like, oh, I'm going to go watch this, do you want to come? So I was like, yeah, sure.
She's not even here.
I went
Fair enough.
I have told her many times, you should come, you should come. No, we watched it together, and like Bryony, I absolutely loved it. I've always looked for a project like this before. It's always been on my bucket list to come out and make a difference somewhere in the world. But the way TSAP and Chloe's morals and ethics work, it was just so different to anything I'd come across before. And I was really inspired by it, so I was like, okay, I want to get on board with this. Contacted her, went for an interview thing, and that was last year. So I came last year for 6 weeks. Absolutely fell in love, found a new version of me, and cried when I left because I just didn't want to leave. And I knew I was gonna come back for 2 reasons. One of them being how could I not? It was beautiful. I just really wanted to come back. And the second, I think, was something Chloe said to me last year. She said that a lot of white people come to countries like this and make their difference, do their time, tick it off their bucket list, and then they don't come back. And that really hit with me, and I made some incredible friends last year. Absolutely amazing local Madagascar people, and so I knew when I left that I had to come back, because I didn't just want to be another person who passed through. And so here I am. Booked my tickets last week, flew out the next day, and here we are.
superior.
Stop biting me.
Right, next one.
So yeah, so this one, it was the difference between this year and last year, because we were both here last year, and what the differences have been.
Well, last year was an interesting one because when we arrived we didn't have an official house yet, so we did a homestay with with our program lead that's based here in Madagascar, who's local. So we had a true, like, authentic Malagasy experience. This year you arrived and we came straight to the house. Bryony's never lived the other life.
No, I've been really fortunate that the house this year is a very built up house. It's kind of like a villa, but obviously you guys stayed in a traditional Malagasy house, which is very, very different, as we talked about last episode actually. So yeah, I've been quite lucky.
Well, the power does keep going out.
Oh, the
that
power
is
went
the other
out today
difference.
for like literally the 6th time in the past like 5 days, which
Yeah.
isn't ideal, but we're dealing with it. It's fine.
But that was different to last year because we didn't have that many, if any, pastures.
No, when we did move into our official house, that was quite, we didn't really lose any power, but it was in a different location. We're still near the beach, but last year we lived in like a smaller, like little European like bungalow thing. We're still in a similar thing now, but this is a lot bigger and it's in a different location, in a busier area. We've got a supermarket near us, still really close to the water. We're actually based where quite a lot of the tourists stay, which is really nice actually. I've really enjoyed living here, and we've got a huge garden, which is great for the puppies.
Yes, they love it.
Yeah. No, it has still been slightly different. I say definitely because this project is more puppy focused.
Yeah, we did
whereas-
loads of teaching last year
So
because we
much.
didn't have any full-time teachers at the time, but now we've got Gladys and Jamel, who you'll meet soon, I'm sure, on the podcast.
It was like 6 nights a week last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we used to teach, we taught 7 times a week, and it was 6 evenings, so we missed a lot of sunsets. And it was an interesting one because we teach quite late because we try and have it so that everybody can come. So a lot of our students work, so we start our classes at 6:30, and yeah, we just miss so many sunsets. But now we get to really go and enjoy the teaching and have a great time, but also focus on different projects such as helping these guys.
So these guys are involved with Sunset Strays, obviously. They're probably our first like properly official rescues.
There you go.
Introducing
Nice
himself
little
to the
close-up.
camera.
So
Okay.
this is Boo, the black one, and this is Bay. And Bay is island in Malagasy, and Boo just because he's scared of absolutely everything.
It's a bit ironic because he doesn't scare anyone
No,
else.
no.
But
Yeah, no, so it's been interesting as well, kind of getting used to them living in the house and
biting us.
biting us, abusing us, and obviously the house is quite a good space, I would say, to keep the puppies in, but it's not ideal because they are very young and they should be with their mum really, but it's hard because she's not a big fan of people, so we've been trying to catch her.
And she stopped feeding them, we think, because they weren't being fed. They weren't being fed milk when we got them.
No, they were eating
but they were given
rice.
to us by one of our partners who couldn't look after them anymore, and they've been staying with her, and she'd been feeding them and paying for their food. So she gave them to us, and we've been bringing them back to life, defleeing them, deworming them soon, just making sure that they've had all of their checks and stuff before we rehome them into local Malagasy homes, which is the whole point of the Sunset Strays project.
Yes.
So in comparison to, like, I suppose, with other people who might start a rescue and just take in a lot of dogs, our goal is to find them homes straight away, just so that we're not so we're actually solving the problem versus just taking them off of the streets, because whilst we could do that and put them in a shelter, that's a lot more expensive obviously for us, and it doesn't really solve anything because we would just be inundated.
Exactly,
with
and
dogs.
it moves them from one area to another really.
Yeah.
It's like at least there's that positive with a rescue of they wouldn't be on the streets, but there's also then they're just locked up basically,
Yeah.
which isn't the ideal situation because they are street dogs, they're used to freedom. So the main aim is to make sure they can still kind of maintain that level of freedom whilst having proper care by being owned by a local.
Yeah.
So
Got plans to do different talks about how to look after dogs, how to feed them properly, what kind of care they need, and then we're also working with some local people to set up a little business which solely sells dog products, so dog food that they can be fed, different treats, collars, leads, just so that when we do rehome the dogs, people can go somewhere and get the resources that they need, just because they're called faddy in Malagasy, which basically means they're very taboo and not something that people tend to own very regularly. Even though lots of local people do own dogs, there's nowhere really to buy food and the things that they need, so we're going to do that as part of the project this year as well.
because rescuing and rehoming the dogs is one thing, and that's obviously very helpful for issues with street dogs to kind of being a bit too overpopulated on Nosy Bay, but it also doesn't help that the locals actually don't know where to get any dog products currently, and the ones that they can get are really, really expensive, and even for us, we've noticed how much more expensive, like it will be similar prices to what you would pay for flea treatment and things like that in the UK,
If not higher as
if
well
not
sometimes.
higher. Yeah.
And price comparison isn't like common here.
Oh no, not at all. Like the difference in pricing for everything is massively just insane. So the fact that it's the same price for dog products here is quite a big thing. Because lots of locals can't afford that, and they won't choose to spend their money that they've worked hard for on something that isn't for their own survival. So that's kind of one of the main aims that's going hand in hand is the business, because it will just help people actually be able to own a dog without the stress of thinking, how do I feed it, how do I look after it, and
because it doesn't even come down to like they can't afford the products, which like they can't, but in addition it's that they don't want to be able to afford the products. Like Malagasy people don't really like dogs here. It's not like in the West at all. Like a lot of people here are really scared of them. They just don't like them. You'll be driving in a tuk-tuk, and if there's a dog coming out in front of the road, they don't care, they'll just keep driving. Which is really hard to see, because like you bring them in, you give them a bit of love, you give them like food, and like they're lovely. But Malagasy people don't see it that way, and so that's where like the talks and things will come in as well, because I think you've got one coming up, haven't you?
On Friday.
Yeah, so Friday I've got not really a lesson, but just like an educational chat with some of the locals about just dog ownership in general. So just it's been advertised for anybody who is interested in dogs, in whether that's owning them or just generally wants to learn more about them. I'm going to be running like a little just kind of session about how they can own dogs, how we will support them in owning dogs, and just like the whole process in which they can go through the adoption, and like obviously we can then eventually, we're planning on some of the dogs that we rescue, we're going to train them, kind of get them to a point where they're quite obedient, they'll listen to us, and then we'll take them to these lessons and show the people like, we understand that you don't see that dogs can be trained, because a lot of people that you've spoken to just don't understand it, because they just think they're feral, so they won't listen. But and we can show them, obviously we know because we've all owned dogs, that they can be trained, they will listen, they are obedient, they'll benefit you. So then we'll bring them to the lessons, kind of show them what we've taught them, and hopefully that will kind of push the process a bit faster to try and encourage dog ownership here and not just leaving them on the streets.
And also just working with people that do already own dogs as well, because a lot of dogs here are like semi-owned, so they'll have an owner but they're allowed to run freely, which doesn't help the reproduction problem that Madagascar face, but just teaching them how there's certain things that dogs shouldn't be fed, that it's beneficial to tie them up at times so that they're not running loose in the evenings, misbehaving and getting into things that they shouldn't be getting into, and also just supporting them with the resources as well, like creating more affordable food options versus them just getting the scraps that are left, because we know that that's often not enough for them, because whilst dogs might be owned, a lot of them here are very skinny as well, which is very nice.
Which is, it's hard for us because obviously we are here to rescue and help them. We've gone around to quite a few dogs actually and noticed they are insanely skinny. They do look like they're kind of dying, and they're still owned, and so there's nothing we can do about that, because you can't take an owned dog because that will just irritate the locals. That's not what we're here to do. But it's hard to see when there is something so helpless that you physically cannot help, because it's just not within our power to do that. That's been quite hard, but
especially when we're not used to it. Like it's not like
it's not
this.
common at home.
No, you don't see it. And like I remember last year, we went through Bataluka a fair bit, and like I started like naming all the dogs around, and there was a mama and her baby. I think we came across a couple of puppies at one point, and I was like knelt down, like stroking them, like as you do, because they're adorable.
Brian's going to go and check on the puppies because we can hear them. They're probably stuck behind a door. Well, not stuck, they'll be able to get out, but they won't walk round and find their way out. They'll just cry until somebody comes. So.
Yeah, funny little things.
Right, don't fight me now. It's not what I was aiming for.
Oh, they are very cute though. We do love them.
We do love them.
And it would be, well, not easy, but I think we all kind of have those moments where it's like, oh, it'd be so nice to take them back to the UK, but obviously there's so many dogs in the UK that already need a home, and we want to give these ones a home here because this is where they're from and this is their life, and we don't want to take them away from that. Is there any other questions or any other thoughts?
I was going to say, what's been one of the best things about having the puppies and the worst things? Because they've brought lots of joy and annoyance.
Sorry, he's trying to attack the camera from behind, if you can hear it.
The best thing, I think it's rewarding when they listen, and when you ask them to come and they do. I'd say that's what I love, like seeing them learn. Like that's really, I love that. When like earlier I was calling them to me and they came, it's like that's a big win, instead of them just not I was gonna say looking at me, but before they're just away with the fairies, couldn't care less. But they're learning. They are.
They're getting more responsive, which is really nice, because again they are very, very young. Not sure how old. I'm guessing a few weeks, because when we got them their eyes were still blue, which is a bit concerning because they don't have mum, but it is what it is. We can't do anything about that right now. But what's your worst thing then?
Oh, we all know the worst thing is how messy they are. That is honestly the worst thing. They're just so messy because obviously they're so young, they don't have mum, and they're just very messy puppies. And I was doing some research, and like they say that don't expect a dog to be toilet trained until like 12 to 16 weeks because they don't have like control over their bowel. So yeah, it's just very messy.
Yeah, and obviously we're not going to be here long enough to do that, so we're just going to have to deal with this for now, but that's okay. It's part of the process, and we're dealing with it. We just have to deal with the dirty floor for the time being.
We clean it, but
obviously yes.
Don't make it sound like it's dirty all the time.
It's not dirty all the time.
Try and live in a clean house.
Yes.
What was your best thing?
My best thing would be just watching them be so comfortable and happy in the house, just like whenever they're sleeping together, because in the beginning they used to kind of curl up in a corner, didn't they? They would kind of both go to a corner together, sleep together, because of it's quite a daunting experience if you're a child and you just get taken from your mum and into this random house with these random girls who are now looking after you. That's really nice, babe. Thank you.
What an angle for the
Right.
camera.
Let's not do that. And
They've got a lot more comfortable over time.
they have got a lot more comfortable over time. They've gotten more vocal, definitely. They're a lot more playful. It's just nice to kind of see them coming into themselves as well, because they at first they were very quiet. And I mean, Boo didn't even stand up properly because he was so scared of just like being in a house. Hence Boo. But yeah, I would say my worst thing about them so far is the dirty floor and the having to clean up after them, but also just the stress of, are they not getting the right nutrients, are they not like having proper development because they don't have mum, and like we can't give them exactly what they need right now. And it's like we've tried our best. Like I was making them scrambled eggs and rice and everything, and I'm trying to give them like the most balanced diet possible, but it's just really hard when that's not actually what they need right now. But there's nothing else that we can do, and Boo has got something wrong. I think he's got a vitamin C deficiency. His legs are quite bowed. He's got something wrong with the back legs. He struggles to walk a lot of the time. He can do it, and he's gotten better, but it's definitely a case of he's very unsteady on his feet, so that's a bit worrying as well. So I would say just generally the stress around their development is one of my main things, because as well we're not going to be there to look after them forever, and we were talking about this today actually, and about how we want them to go to a really caring, loving home, but it's hard when we're not going to be here to make sure that is going to be kept up the whole time.
Yeah, same risk with rehoming any dog or puppy, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there any more questions?
Well, what was Freya's best and worst thing? You've only been here 4 days, but what's your best and worst?
I think my best thing is seeing the difference in them compared to like all the other Malagasy dogs, because before now I've only ever seen them out on the street, and I've seen them skin and bones, and I've seen them scared, and you walk past and they'll like generally like flinch away from you. But like having these guys here, and you know they're not skin and bones, like they're quite happy. They're playful, they'll jump about, and like they're not afraid of you, and that's just a really lovely thing to feel after spending so much time like seeing them on the complete opposite end. And then also like obviously the snuggles. I love when they're not like wriggling around trying to get away from you, so they just want to bite each other. When they're like, yeah, okay, I'll give you snuggles. Oh, best thing of my life. I really just don't like seeing them fight.
Yeah.
I really hate seeing them fight. Like, they're so adorable. I don't want them to fight.
Yeah.
Little
They get quite aggressive with each other actually. It's like obviously they are siblings and they are puppies, so like they're gonna play fight, but Bay is quite a bit bigger than Boo, so he kind of tries to just push him over all the time.
Yeah, because sometimes they're really cute just sleeping next to each other, other times they're just fighting.
Yeah, it's very on and off.
Yeah.
They're quite hot and cold with each
Yeah,
other.
literally, we start eating dinner and we're like, oh, again, behind us, like just leave each other alone. Like there's no need.
No.
We're just looking for a quiet life here, guys. Come on. Yeah. Is that it? Anything else to share
I think that's it. I think that's all the
with
questions.
the people?
I'm just happy to be back, to be honest. It's been very
Yeah,
good.
we're going to go and get some potatoes and we're going to fry them.
Dinner. Yes.
Lovely.
So we're going to boil them and fry them.
They taste so good. Yeah, because you've got to get them fluffy on the inside. Top
Absolutely.
tip, anybody watching.
Cooking tips now. We've gone from dogs to cooking.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So if you want to have like chips or like anything like roast potatoes or anything crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside, boil them first until they're soft. Then you spray them with like just like cold tap water. Give them a shake because you need the hand gesture. You've got to give them a shake. then you fry them. So that's what we're going to do later.
Yes.
And then they'll be crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, which is what we want.
And that's what we have for you today here on Cooking with Chloe.
Cooking with Chloe.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a segment. That could be an episode. We'll
No,
do
we
a few
could. Malagasy cooking.
recipes, what we eat in a day.
What we eat in a day is pancakes, pasta, and then the potato thing I'm about to make.
That's very true. And it will just be variations of those, basically.
If we're feeling like we want to put effort in, porridge.
If we're
And
feeling fancy pancakes, cinnamon pancakes.
and if I'm feeling lazy, a bowl of Cocoa Pops.
Yes. But we have such variety of food here in this house.
We actually do eat more food than that. Just so everybody's aware.
Yeah.
We do have fruit as well. Just want to put that out there. We're not really unhealthy.
Fruit, bread, noodles, all sorts.
Yeah.
And then like the street food and the seafood when we go out.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh,
good.
we did have a great
We
lunch.
tried swordfish.
I tried fish. This was a big moment
Oh yeah, because
yesterday.
in the last episode you were
Yes,
telling everybody
we
how
talked
you're a
about
picky
how I'm a
eater.
picky eater. So I've been quite proud of myself since the last episode. I tried swordfish, swordfish skewers with carrot, which was really random. I didn't expect it to have carrot on it,
No, that
but it
was
was really good actually. Yeah, and I don't eat fish. Like I'm not a big fish fan. As we know, we've talked about it many a time.
Yeah.
You tried to get me to try your lobster. I said absolutely not.
We
It's
just-
got a face. So
Well, you can't, not forced into it, but you'd ordered the chicken, and Jamal ordered the chicken as well.
Jamal ordered the
but they
chicken,
didn't
yeah.
have any. And Brian was like, "I'll just have chips." And I was a bit like, "We can't really just have chips for lunch. We've got to push the boat a little bit."
I mean, it was almost 4 o'clock at that point as well, so it wasn't really lunch.
Yeah, so you've got to eat more than that. It's been a
Yeah.
while, and I was like, I'll just order the fish brochettes, and if you don't like them, that's fine. Like, I'll pay for them. It's not a problem. But you liked
And
them.
I did. I liked
And
them.
you had a good lunch.
And I did, yeah, and it was great. And then we had so much rice. I feel like the portion sizes of rice out here, I don't know if it's just locals, literally. I mean, it seems like it. Jamel and Gladys could eat double their body weight in rice
Seriously.
every meal and be completely fine. We can't do that.
No. Well, you know, Madagascar eats so much rice that they have to import 25% of it.
Which I think's mad.
Really?
Yeah, because obviously they grow loads, but
Yeah.
they eat that much. They have to import 25%
Oh,
on
wow.
average. Yeah.
You know what? You learn something new every day.
And
I've
fun
got all the
facts with
Chloe
Chloe
as well. We've got Cooking with Chloe, fun facts with Chloe.
Well, it's my job to know these things. isn't it?
Absolutely.
I was going to say, and also the other thing which blew my mind last year, you know, like Madagascar vanilla?
Yeah, not meant to be here.
No.
No. I feel like that's actually not a known thing. Actually, I feel like you should explain that.
Yeah, definitely.
Explain that right now.
Blew my mind.
Because I feel like
We got
because I was
Gladys.
gobsmacked at that as well.
So that I only know because I watched a YouTube video about it. But what
fine.
I learned in the YouTube video and from visiting a vanilla plantation here on Nosy, which is Lima Island, is so. I want to say Spain. I usually say it really confidently, but not for you guys. So go and fact check me because I could be wrong. But apparently, some guy from Spain bought the vanilla, like a vanilla plant here, and planted loads of them, I guess. But was really confused because he was like, "Oh, but they're not pollinating. Like the bees that they have here weren't pollinating the flower, and so therefore no rice beans were being grown until don't know who discovered it. Somebody discovered that if you hand pollinate them, then the vanilla will grow. So I think one of the reasons why vanilla is so expensive is because they have to go around these vanilla plantations and hand pollinate all of the individual vanilla plants. So
That's so much effort.
yeah, don't really know why they were so intent on growing vanilla and it now being Madagascar vanilla instead of just taking it to a place where the bees can pollinate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and vanilla here in Madagascar is well, you probably won't be surprised to hear, is a lot cheaper than buying vanilla in the UK from supermarkets. So yeah, we always take back a bit of vanilla and share it with friends and family. Yeah, it's really good. We probably, if we buy some, we'll cook with some of it as well. You can put it in lots of different things.
Yeah.
Isn't the hand pollinating what Gladys does? Should she do that?
No, well, Gladys owns a vanilla plantation, but they pay people to go around and hand pollinate it. Because I don't think you can just do it once. I think you have to go around like multiple times, like throughout
Yeah.
the period of the plant being there for it to then pollinate.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, you should watch YouTube videos on it. It's a really long process because they're green. I think you have to wait until they go brown, but then you have to like leave them out in the sun, wait for them to dry out, and it takes a long time.
Yeah. Very long process. Gladys's is very successful though.
Yeah, she makes
And
it.
yeah, we'll buy it off of her as well, because it's like there's lots of people who will sell vanilla just like in the streets or like on the beaches and stuff. They'll approach you and ask you if you want to buy it. We've had the same man about 10 times. Like I think even more than that.
For me, it's been years of the same
Yeah.
people trying
I'm
to sell me
surprised he doesn't
vanilla.
recognise you, to be honest, but
Well, yeah.
he comes up to us every time that we're sat either having dinner or on the beach and tries to sell us his vanilla, and every time we say no, because obviously we've got Gladys, so we don't
Yeah, and
need
it's
to buy it off
it's
of him.
nice to know where it comes from. Like I've visited the vanilla plantation before, so I've been able to see the plants, which is really cool. And like if these guys want to go and visit it, like they always have the opportunity, and it's just nice to know where it comes from, I think. And like some of them, you ask them where they're from, and it's from like mainland Madagascar, which is a beautiful place, but we're not in mainland Madagascar, we're here, so we like to try and get as local as possible when we can.
Yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, well there's your fun fact segment at the
Yeah.
end. I think that's it, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, I
Thanks
think
everyone.
so. Sounds good.
Right,
Thank you.
Another close up of my face, we're
Yes,
ready.
lovely.